All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the A Little Bit More podcast with Pastor Kevin. I'm your host, Lee, and we were just laughing because I'm not the most observant person
sitting here
in the
for
world.
10 minutes talking.
I'm like, hey, they just got rid of the Christmas decorations. So thank you, Lynn, for making this look beautiful every week and thematic. Look at that. Love like Jesus, live like missionaries.
That's been there.
Very cool. It's brand new. There's a new tree we just got. Those are called, you know what kind of tree this is? It's fake, I know, but it's supposed to be what?
I don't want to be wrong. Is it a fiddle leaf?
Fiddle fig.
Oh, I was close.
Close. So there's a little bit more. Thanks for joining us, everybody. So anyway, 2 weeks ago, you told the Wet Willie story, and I can't stop thinking about it. It's absolutely one of my favorite stories you've ever told.
I went back and forth. I'm like, is like CPS or something called if I tell this story?
No, it's fantastic. I just love this reaction. Like, thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad.
Fix me.
It's just immediate, like,
tell us stories in sermons and, just in everyday life is just golden. So keep it up.
Yeah. Well, my kids make it easy because they got a lot of content. Like they have given me a lot of laughs over just the few years that we've known each other. So,
yes. And we're into another week of the reading plan. Yeah. And so it's been off to a great start. We got a lot of people out in the church world that are following along and reading along and preparing for Sundays. So I just think it's a beautiful thing. So let's keep it up.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you talk about it that way, because I think it's really important to discipline yourself to read stories within the context and what's going on around it. Because sometimes so we'll talk about it here in just a moment, but oftentimes we'll be like, we'll just pick out the story of, feeding the 5,000, but we don't read what's around it. Oftentimes they're placed beside each other to prove a point. Particularly if you look at chapter 15, it's all of the lost things. And it's done that way on purpose. Like there's a reason the gospel writer is putting those back to back to back to help us kind of see something. And so, this Sunday was fun to talk about Luke 15, and really they're pretty familiar stories. Probably the most familiar is the prodigal son.
Yep.
Right. And I think the prodigal son is an okay name for the story, but I think it kind of gives the older brother kind of an out, because the story is just as much about him as it is the prodigal and also the father's response. Yeah. And so let's back up just a little bit. I think one of the things we tried to clear up on Sunday, but I'll say it again, is that lost doesn't mean worthless. I think sometimes when we think something is lost or a person's lost, we will judge them on their worst decision or what they've done in life, rather than saying, what's the Father's heart on the lost? And so that's one of the biggest things is lost doesn't equal bad. If you look up the word lost, particularly in the Greek, like what other synonyms come up? It's separated, it's disconnected, it's outside of the joy of the Father's presence. That's what lost means. So a lost person doesn't mean that they're not made in the image of God. They just don't know what it means to be in the Father's presence.
The way I've always liked to put it is that they don't know Jesus yet.
Yeah.
Like putting the yet on it is the hope.
Right.
That always, I think, keeps it in perspective. Like
Sure.
You're not too far gone until it's too late.
Yeah.
And so you have the possibility they don't know Jesus yet.
Right. Yeah. And so what things do you have in Luke 15? So you have the sheep, you have the coin, and let's just call them the brothers, right? Because I want to address both of them. But the sheep, let's play it out. Once again, these are parables. These are not things that actually happened, but they're stories to help us understand a truth about God and who we are and some of the decisions we have to make as just human beings. But the sheep, I wouldn't say the sheep is rebellious. The sheep drifted, right? Also, it's good to know that the sheep was a part of the flock originally. Oftentimes we think, the lost never knew God in the first place. This sheep was a part of the flock.
Yeah.
So the shepherd would have to have known the sheep to know that the sheep was gone. So the sheep drifted. So we know people like that.
Sure.
That have drifted off. And then you have the coin. The coin doesn't know it's lost, right? A coin doesn't know that it's lost.
I don't think.
And a coin would have to have someone that would notice that it was lost to find it. And so I think that does reveal something to us too, is do we even recognize that there's something lost among us? Are we actually flipping everything over in the house?
That's what I was just going to ask. Do you have any stories of when you lost something? Like, I don't typically lose things. I'm pretty responsible. I know there's a lot of people.
I literally never lose things.
Yeah.
But other than the two things that you can put air tags on because my wife made me. So my keys and my wallet, I lose them weekly, if not daily.
Really?
I can tell you right now, you could ask me. We're not going to do it, but because I think my pregnant wife is probably napping at this point. But I could call her and I could tell her pretty much where any of my belongings are.
Yeah.
Like I am very... My wife would... I always thought I was a clean person. She clarified I'm an organized person. Apparently there's a difference.
There's a difference.
But for some reason, I misplaced probably the two most important things that you should have on you at all times.
Yeah.
Is my keys and my wallet. So I don't know why.
And I like rarely ever happens with me. But last week I was working in another part of the church. I had a whole bunch of stuff in my hand, came back to my office and set it all down. And then I was ready to go home at the end of the day, and I realized I couldn't find my phone. Oh, no. And there's the element of panic that goes all over you.
Yep.
Like my first thought is, I know there's a way to Ellie does this all the time at home. Like she ding, 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 and you can find your phone, whatever. I'm like, maybe I got to figure out how to do that. I don't know. But then I was able to think it through. It was in that pile of stuff that I'd set in the floor. Sure. So it was easy to find. But there's an element of that panic that comes across you. Have you ever been lost as a kid? Or lost one of your kids at a store?
I lost one of my kids. They're not even that old, and I've done it already.
I was going to say, geez, you're off to a good start.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's an element of, oh my word, I'm going to automatically freak out and panic. Yeah. And so that's why when you do find it, there's I've always identified with that lady. Rejoice with me, for I've I found my lost coin.
That pin feeling that you get, there's just pins all over your body and just pure panic.
Yeah.
We had just moved into our house and we were still kind of figuring out the layout, all those things. And I was putting something away and I go, where's Lena? Where'd Lena go? And it was just me.
Oh,
and I'm
boy.
Like, Jana's, she's never going to forgive me.
I lost.
And she's the quiet one. Bray, you can always hear he's going dump through the house. And I'm just like, where did she go? She somehow opened up the half bathroom, the door, and I opened it. It was dark, and she's just smiling as big as can be, and she had pulled all of the toilet paper off the roll.
She wasn't
just
terrified to be by
she's
herself?
just giggling there in just the darkness.
So that's an interesting perspective. She didn't know she was lost.
She didn't know she was lost. Yeah, so that's the interesting. Let's go back to the coin. So the coin, it not only does it not know it's lost, it can't be sinful, right? The coin has been misplaced. But it doesn't know it's lost. I mean, that's a great way to say it. The younger brother, it's maybe the more traditional way of what we think of lost. If you say that I have a prodigal son, we would know what that means immediately because of the story, right? Yep. We would know that kid, that whether they're adult or whatever, they're reckless. That's what we'd probably say. They're a reckless individual, and they don't yet know what it means to be in the Father's presence. That's probably the most traditional one out of Luke 15 that we know. But he's still a son. That's what we have to focus on. He's still a son. The oldest son is really fascinating to me because he's obedient, right? And we think, obedience, this is what we're called to be as believers. He's obedient, but he's joyless.
Yeah.
He has no joy in his life. And I think that is just as sinful as going off and being reckless. And so those are some of the things we usually give the older brother, at least when I hear the story, we kind of give the older brother a pass.
He seems more of a side character.
And he goes, in some ways as believers, if we're honest, if we're truly honest, we're probably I kind of resonate with the older brother. Like he was doing the right thing.
I've been here doing all the work, man.
Right. Of course he's not going to go to the party. Like his younger brother's an idiot. So, but I think there's the question beneath the question that most of the time when we come to this text, as believers, I think we almost justify that we're okay because we're in the house. So I'm in the house, I'm in the community, I'm in the church, I'm good. Well, so is the coin. The coin's in the house.
Yeah.
But it's misplaced. No one's recognizing it, right? So I think we got to be really careful that we don't just boil down Christianity to, am I in the house or am I not? I think that's a really bad way to boil it down. I think the better question is, am I alive in the Father's presence?
That's great.
Because you can come to church every Sunday and not really know what it means to be free in Christ, to be in the Father's presence. You're just there. You just feel like you're lost among the sea of people or whatever it is. And so I think really 15 is more for us as the reader. These are made up stories to help the sinners who are listening to this. It's a mixed group of people listening to this.
Yeah, there's a lesson for everybody, though.
So you have the sinners, but also you have the religious people. They're both listening to Jesus tell these stories, and it's this beautiful thing. But I think also when I read it, it reminds me that God is not a passive God, that God is always searching.
Yeah.
And we've talked about the whole waiting room thing before, but the church, the bride, I don't think the church building is just a waiting room until we die. I think if we're being the church correctly, it becomes a search party throughout the week, that we actually go and talk to people, reach people, do life with one another, to seek and save the lost, as Scripture says. And I think that's why discipleship groups are so important, is are we actually searching? Are we actually actively working towards and having the same heart that the Father has? Because if we're not, I think we have missed the invitation into the chapter 15 specifically. I also, this time around, every time you read the passage, something new comes out. I think the new thing for me, and maybe I'm just slower and I should pick up on these things faster, but when I read through Luke 15 this time, I think the question that rose to the top for me most is, what do I celebrate? Because you go back through the passage here. We don't miss the role of celebration. Go through every single story.
Yeah.
Every time something is found, what happens? There's complete joy.
Rejoice with me, for I have found my lost
Yes,
coin.
Exactly. So there's parties. I wrote these down. There's parties, invitation, music, community-wide celebration. Heaven rejoices, but it's not over perfection. What's the celebration over? The return.
The return, yeah. That's cool.
Like that's... I think sometimes we make it so complicated. So do we rejoice when something is found? Like, is it this beautiful celebration? Because it should be.
It should be, yeah.
And lost doesn't always mean worthless. Lost can mean several different things. And I think this is why Jesus gives us so many different stories. Like the sheep is different than the coin, and the coin is different than the brothers. But we're also not... I think there's another thing that came to the surface for me, is that we're not restored alone. And I think that's one of the more beautiful things about Luke chapter 15. And if you look at them in their entirety, it captures one thing, that we need one another. We need family. So in these discipleship groups that people are meeting and talking, like, I think it might be awkward at first, but as you continue them, I think you're going to realize how important it is to have other people to walk this life through. So going back through, like the sheep, that lost sheep, what did that sheep need? It needed a shepherd.
The shepherd and the flock.
Right. It needed the shepherd to come find him. What does the coin need? The coin needs someone to rip the house apart to come find the coin. The son needed the father to run towards him. And even the older brother, I think, needed the invitation, which I think it's beautiful. Probably some people, like, they don't like the I don't know if you watch a movie and there's a cliffhanger. I don't know how you feel about it. Some people need resolution. I actually oftentimes like, movies, stories, TV series that kind of end and you kind of get to write your own ending and kind of like, I wonder what that character's doing now.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what Jesus is trying to do at the end of Luke 15. He's kind of saying, hey, Lee, I want you to imagine this. I want you to think through it because there's no resolution. We don't know if the older brother goes to the party or not.
Right.
I mean, I think my heart and most people's hearts like, man, I really hope that he humbled himself and he gave his younger brother a hug and said, man, I'm really glad you're home. I'm glad that you're here. But I think that lack of ending is very intentional. Yeah. And I wrote down a couple questions I want us to think through before we move too quickly into next week where we're going to be talking about chapter 19. The final scene, I don't think, well, I know it's not about the older brother because the older brother doesn't really exist. It's about us.
Yeah.
So some of the questions I wrote down is like, will we join in on the celebration? When someone is found, I think sometimes, and I'm guilty, when someone gives their life to Christ, have you ever said to yourself, we'll see if it sticks, right? Because we know their past. We know all these things. It's like, no, that person is experiencing the presence of God, the presence of the Father. Why would we not want to celebrate with them, come alongside them, so that we do everything in our power to make sure that they don't go back into their old ways? But I think sometimes we can be a little bit cynical.
Sure.
It's like, they don't really belong in the house, and we'll see how long they stay here anyways. No, like, will we join in the celebration? Because I think for us, that's just as disobedient as the one who was off being reckless and spending all the money. The older brother was just as sinful as the younger.
Yeah.
Is because he wouldn't, played out both ways. If he doesn't go and celebrate it, that's just as disobedient, right?
Yeah.
Because he can't be happy for his younger brother. Also, I think another good question is, will we reflect the Father's heart? Go back through the story. What is the Father's heart in every single story? What's the heart? And will we pursue, search, welcome, rejoice?
Yeah.
I think those, like, what is our response when we come to something that is found? Are we leery? Are we numb to it? When you hear someone comes to Christ, when you hear someone gets baptized, when you hear someone has a call, whether that's a call to go on a missions trip, a call to do something else. Hey, I think I'm going to read my Bible this year. Yeah, they won't make it through February. Is it cynical response? Is it an encouraging response? I think as a church, we really need to be cautious.
Sure.
About we can be in the house and be totally disconnected from the Father's heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really good. Let's look for ways to be encouraging to one another, to not be divisive, to be unifying, and to celebrate those things. Basically, you're telling us, let's party.
Yeah, let's party.
I'm in. Let's party.
Party, because I got to.
Because I got to. Awesome. Hey, thanks for a little bit more today, Kevin. Keep up that Bible reading, everybody. And if you don't know what we're talking about, check out our website or come talk to one of us on staff. We'd love to get you plugged in. It's not too late to start. You can hop in with us where we're at, and we'll continue to learn a little bit more together weekly.
Yep.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Have a good week.